Hignett corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises! It just had to be! Dax corner and it goes, Glance towards goal! And Rovers have taken the lead! And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and welcome to our pre-match live stream as we preview Rovers' away fixture to Bristol City at Ashton Gate on this fairly chilly but getting milder Wednesday evening in December. I'm joined by our usual panel of Rovers Chat experts. We've got Joe, Alex, and Howard with us again today. How are you all, guys?
Yeah, not so bad.
Yeah, good, thanks.
You flatter me by calling me an expert. I've never been called that in my life, so thank you for that.
You three are the experts. You make my job a lot easier hosting these shows. So delighted to have you with us again. Rovers fans, as ever, please do interact with us this evening in the comments box on this, which is day 9 of the 12 days of Rovers Chat. How did we get to day 9? Who knows? It'll soon be Christmas. But yeah, please do interact with us. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you agree or disagree with us. We are going to be previewing a few things before we start to absorb that team news live as we receive it. If you are not following us on Twitter, we are Rovers_chat. Please do follow us. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Rovers Chat. We are edging towards 900 subscribers on YouTube, which is fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for your support. We would be delighted to get to 1,000 subscribers if we can. So spread the word. These live streams are here to stay. So come and share your views and your opinions with us. But before we start, of course, we are proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
Thank you, as ever, to 6yardsout.com. I can see that we've got some comments coming in already. So hello to Arnaud. And yes, Jacob, I have had my haircut, so I am feeling fresh trim indeed. And Scott Taylor's question, Alex, we will hang that and park that one and come back to it. So you've got a chance to gather your thoughts on that one at the relevant point in the show. So what we're going to focus on first is defence. There's been a lot of talk about the defence before this game, and Brentford was a game where it really brought to the fore some defensive issues for us. Lenihan's red card, injury to Scott Wharton, and Daniel Ayala, who had a storming game on Saturday. So we're going to focus on Daniel Ayala first, if we can. Alex, I'm going to come to you. We've spoken about on both pre and post-match live streams about Daniel Ayala and how compatible he is with Darragh Lenihan in particular and in that left centre-back position. Do you think it was any coincidence he had a good game on Saturday when Lenihan got sent off? You know, he was able to be that leader, wasn't he, on Saturday and really lead from the back for us?
Lenihan and Ayala haven't played enough games yet for me to work out whether or not it's a positional problem or a problem of a lack of match fitness, really. I think with Ayala in particular, I think we cast our minds back to the Millwall game, which I think he did come in for a bit of criticism on occasion for. You know, he did make a couple of mistakes, but you balance that by thinking, well, he's played very little football this calendar year. You know, I think he played, 2 or 3 games for Borough after December, January time. And then he got a couple of matches after signing for us and then got injured again and really has had that niggle ever since and really only got back a week ago. So I think that you've got to be measured when critiquing Ayala. I think the frustration with Ayala is that we know he can do it. We know he's one of the best defenders in this league. And so when he doesn't hit that height that you know he can, it's frustrating because you know that we've signed a good defender at the end of the day. What I think we saw on Saturday was, I think really some of the leaders in the team really coming to the fore. I think Bradley Johnson as well, you can lump into this as part of this equation, and Ayala. They're experienced operators at the championship level, and they knew exactly what to say to the players surrounding them. You know, John Buckley, who's out of position at right back, you know, backs against the wall, trying to stifle a very good Brentford team. And I think both of them did that really well. I think the mentality of just not giving a goal away, just staying within touching distance in that game, staying within one goal, and then in that last 10 minutes, give yourself a platform to then go up the other end of the pitch and see if you can get that one golden chance. And we managed to capitalise on that, didn't we? So, yeah, Ayala and Lenihan, I'm still unsure whether they work together. We've not seen enough of them yet. However, I think Ayala will continue to show his qualities, and even more so as he gets more match fitness and as he continues.
Yeah. And Howard, it had the potential to turn into a bit of a sticky game for us on Saturday, didn't it? We did go 2-1 down, of course, but after, Alex has referenced it there, I don't think we've seen the best of Ayala until that Brentford game. How pleased were you with Ayala's performance on Saturday and how he really led for us in that centre-back area?
Yeah, it was good to see because obviously, as it's been mentioned, he's looked a little bit worse for wear, and in previous games he's looked a bit, a bit leggy. Maybe he's not just a fitness thing, in it, like Alex touched on. He's not played football hardly this year, has he? So he's going to be a bit slow. So you just come to expect it, don't you? But yeah, I think we saw the best of Daniel Ayala, the Daniel Ayala that we've come to be used to in the league for the past 4 or 5 years. The leadership at the back, the defensive qualities. I mean, it was good to see because we've lacked something like that for so long, haven't we? Really, that old head in defence that's so good at this level that can carry a makeshift defence against one of the best attacks in the league and not make it look out of place. I know there was obviously the struggles down the right-hand side on Saturday, but that was bound to happen because it was just makeshift, wasn't it, with Buckley? But yeah, he was brilliant, and he kind of, with Wharton getting injured, it filled me a lot with worry because of how good Wharton was. But seeing Ayala put in a performance like that after Wharton was a big relief because it just reminds you of how good the players that we can fall back on actually are in this team with players like Ayala.
Yeah, I loved it. And we spoke about Mowbray's team spirit and stuff that he's built within the club. For someone like Ayala to react how he did at the full-time whistle as well, someone who's been with us only a short amount of time and been frustrated with injuries. I love that. I love seeing that from Ayala at full-time. So it really shows what Mowbray's done in that regard. Joe, before we come to you, I'm just going to pick up some of the comments. Jack Hamer, Lenihan and Ayala too similar to play together as they both commit and rush forward, leaving space in behind. Michael Pearson, experience and leadership from Ayala on Saturday. He's key again tonight. Stand and stare. Ayala was a good leader last week as well as chivying players around. Joe, you've got some stats on Ayala this season, haven't you, in terms of the position that he's played? That did you want to just talk us through, Ayala's performances this season and how it's been for us?
Yeah, so the percentage of games played at left centre-back and right centre-back is career-based. So 97% of Ayala's entire career has been at right centre-back. So when we're talking about a player not particularly liking playing left centre-back, we're being quite serious. This guy, we're talking 3 or 4 games at Borough and a couple of times for us because of injuries and whatnot. So in some ways, I'm quite excited for tonight because he's going to get to play in that position that he's so used to. Let's not forget, this is a top championship centre-back. Yes, he's a little slow and he's aging slightly, but in his natural position, I think he's a great step down from Lenihan, and I think they can push each other this season in that role. And then all the data underneath is from this season. So his 80% tackle success rate is really nice and high. That's quite impressive. We've just had confirmation through from the club that Darrell Lenihan will serve his 1-match suspension tonight, so we do know that he'll play. But yeah, 80% is nice and high. His aerial duels. In terms of his defensive data, he's done quite well this year. So it'd be nice to see him hopefully in that right centre-back position today, unless things are jigged around a little bit more than we're expecting. But yeah, be an interesting one, Ryan.
Yeah, Will, and Joe, I'm probably going to stick with you if I can, just to focus on the next area of the defence that we're going to talk about, which is right back. You know, that's got the potential to be a problem for us tonight. If Lenihan's suspended and Williams doesn't make it, Wharton's obviously injured as well. Right back could be an issue, and we've got a slide, I think, on the right back problems, haven't we? That we can show and what that looks like. You know, Rankin Costello's injured. Bennett's injured. Dan Pike's not available for this game either. So, Joe, John Buckley, let's talk about Buckley's performance on Saturday. What did you make of his performance, particularly up against the Kosh as he was against a really good attacking side in Brentford?
Well, I think defensively he probably struggled a little, but we defensively struggled, you know, throughout that whole half to just see it through, really. So, you know, John Buckley played right back from the age of 9 to the age of 17. So in terms of positional play and being able to create and pass from there, he knows what he's doing. Obviously, a lot of his time at right back for the under-23s, for example, was in a back 5 formation. So a little bit more freedom to get forward and kind of play that Trent Alexander-Arnold role where he can create from those deep, wide areas. So, yeah, he's going to be a little bit more caught out if he plays right back in a 4. And obviously at championship level, there's quite a big physicality to the game, which John definitely will know he needs to work on. And fans often point out, I mean, like you say, you look, if Nyambe is unavailable or not available to play right back because he's playing at centre-back, your second choice and third choice are out. John Buckley probably in ahead of Dan Pike at the minute, but not the best option. You could potentially play Stuart Downing there, maybe a Tom Tribal, but other than that, we're really struggling in that position. So people are going to have to just give him as much support as they can because that's what we're stuck with at the minute. Yeah,
it is. And Alex, I'm going to come on to you then. If it is John Buckley at right back tonight, you know, depending on how it goes, obviously if he's in a side with 11 men, that's going to help. Have you got confidence in Buckley doing another job for us, or, you know, what's your thoughts on that?
I can't sit here and preach to the masses and lie and say that I wouldn't be worried about it. I mean, you know, you're talking about a player that is playing completely out of their natural position. I mean, in an important away game in the championship. So, of course, I'm going to be a bit nervous about it. I think the big thing for me is saying that Buckley didn't play very well at right back isn't a criticism of Buckley the player. He isn't expected to play well at right back because he isn't a right back. You know, it's not. You know, I don't feel like I'm hammering him in any way by saying that he struggled on Saturday. It's just, how can you be expected to play well in a position you've barely played before in a league game? I mean, it's quite ridiculous. You know, I think you do mention the 11 men factor. I do think though that there is the element of, with 11 men, the onus will be on us to take a bigger part in the game than we did in the second half on Saturday, where for a large part the tactical remit of Mowbray, obviously from half-time, was sit right back, slow them down, make it pedantic, limit them to many chances, and stay within the game until the last 5 or 10 minutes. Tonight, that won't be the case. We'll be kicking off and we'll be 11v11, and the onus will be on us to be much more of a threat than we were at times on Saturday, understandably so. So there is that kind of nervousness in me about maybe him getting exposed down that right-hand side, but if that's the only personnel we can field, then ultimately that's the only thing we can do. I think I would maybe try and shuffle the pack around a bit differently than play Buckley at right back. I think we probably have players more suitable to play there. I'd rather play Tribal there than Buckley. For me, I know Buckley plays there in training sometimes. I found that revelation interesting, that when they play 10v10 on Fridays, that Buckley plays at right back. I don't think it's too good for his mental health coming up against some of the wingers that he comes up against. I feel a bit sorry for him.
Spent a lot of time there, though, Alex. You know, with the youth
teams
and stuff, though.
Yeah, I did read that he spent a bit of time there at 23s level and even before that. So it's not alien to him, but obviously, coming into the championship, it's just we all know this, don't we? The step up from the 23s to the championship is huge, and expecting a young player. Let's not forget Buckley. He's still a very inexperienced player. who's not actually had that much league experience. He's only really had his toe dipped into it here and there, coming off the bench for 25 minutes when we're 2-0 up. So coming on from the start in a big game like this, I can't lie to you to the face. I am nervous about it, but, we'll see what team Mowbray picks, because depending on whether Williams is fit or not, we could see a shuffling of the pack a bit and Nyambe shifted back to his natural position. But obviously we'll find all that out when the teams are released.
Yeah, we will. And I'm going to move on from this after I've just looked at some of these comments. It's quite funny, because after me praying for Nyambe's hamstring and us not having to deal with this problem, we're now dealing with this problem in a very different way. And it's really split the fans, actually. So Andy Watson, Lewis Travis would be ahead of Buckley on that list as well. Stand and stare, depending on the likely pressure at right back, I'd go for Downing. He has the quality play forward. Gary H would be Dan Pike for me. Players should be played in natural positions. So Dan Pike's not available tonight. He got some concussion, I think it was, in the under-23s. Chris Hayes, I would rather see Tribal at right back, much more defensively minded. Stand and stare, Buckley is not a natural right back. Like Benno, he will cope, we will cope. And yeah, I think that's a good one to finish on. If Buckley is played there, he will cope and we will cope as best we can. So Howard, I'm going to come on to you then, if I can, to talk about another player. So before this season started, Lewis Travis or Bradley Dack probably would have taken the crown of this question. Who is Rovers' most important midfielder? You probably would have said one of those two. Actually, with how this season has panned out and what we've seen in terms of our midfield performances, is Joe Rothwell now our most important midfielder for Rovers? And Rovers fans, please do let us know if you agree or disagree with that statement. Let us know what you think.
It's a very hard question, isn't it? But I would probably say he is, yeah. I think if you look back to around about the 5th to the 8th game of the season when we didn't have him, I can't remember why we didn't have him, probably a knock or an injury, something like that. We looked a bit wrong in midfield, weren't it? It just wasn't clicking when we had Evans in a more forward position. We had Tribal there sometimes. I can even remember times against Nottingham Forest, we had Harry Chapman in that midfield, and it was just a bit weird. I think Joe Rothwell possesses a lot of qualities that are quite unique to this team that no one else really has. And I think we've took that for granted over the past few years. I think I have, looking at it now. I think maybe he wasn't a winger in the previous years. That's why we've maybe not seen the best of him. But at the moment, I think he's really up there in this Rovers squad overall. I think he's a brilliant player. I think his dribbling's probably some of the best I've seen at Rovers in a long time. It's the goal against Brentford was beautiful, weren't it? He was beating his man with ease, and I can't remember many Rovers players ever doing that. But they're all important in their own way, though, aren't they? Like, you look at the midfield without Johnson, it's loses a lot of its bulk, like at the strength and the power in the midfield. If you look at it without Holtby, you lose a bit of that I don't know what's the word, sort of the qualities that he possesses, sort of like I can't think of the word, like, because he's like that old head that's been there, and he's so technically gifted. That's the one on the ball where he can just pick a pass out of nowhere. You see the link up with players like Elliott, they're always on the same wavelengths. He's important in that regard, but I think we can cope a bit more with them out of a team, like Holtby was on Saturday, than we can with Rothwell nodding it, because I think he just has them things that a lot of our midfielders don't have in that regard.
Yeah, and that's coming through in the comments in terms of Rothwell's ability to drag us up the pitch. Alex BRFC, for example, while Dak is unfit, Rothwell is definitely our most important player in that area. Only him and Dak can drag the team up the pitch from deep when we aren't on the turnover. So, Joe, Bradley Dak is, of course, injured at the moment. We've got another slide, haven't we, about Joe Rothwell, just to show his importance to this side. What's your answer to the question at the moment with who we've got available? Is Joe Rothwell Rovers' most important midfielder?
Oh, yeah. I would say yes. I think Holtby on his day is a Champions League class midfielder, and Stuart Downing on his day again is just an incredible midfielder. But yeah, I would say that Joe Rothwell's all-round game and now his consistency as well. He's definitely our most important midfielder. I think the data shows, doesn't it, when he doesn't play, we don't really do well. And when he does play, we very often do. I mean, his data in general is very promising for this season. He's definitely set to have one of his best seasons in his career. And obviously at Championship level compared to League One level, that's really impressive. I'm a big fan of his, especially now. He's definitely won me over. I definitely had some concerns before this season, but I think he'll have shared those concerns as well, and he's just having a great year. So I think what we've got to be careful of course, is expecting a little too much. I think Adam Armstrong is a player that expectations seems to boost him and push him forward, but not everybody's the same. So we might find, of course, that Joe Rothwell needs a little bit less than that, and perhaps just a little bit more encouragement and patience than some fans might be willing to give.
Yeah, and I think what Joe just said there, Alex, I'm going to come to you in a moment. Expecting too much. So I think, Rothwell's only got 1 goal this season, and I don't know how many assists he's got. I think the thing that stood out for me this season, when Rothwell seems to play in our midfield 3, it just looks like it has a balance to it, and it looks like it's functioning as it should do, regardless of who's alongside him, whether it's Holtby, Johnson, Tribal, or whoever. Do you think that's the stuff that Rothwell has brought to Rovers this season? Just providing that balance, going and getting that ball from deep, driving us forward. Is that why he's so important to this side at the moment, particularly without Bradley Dack?
I think he's really risen to prominence with the formation change. That left side of the 3 just really suits his all-round game. It really just complements his style of play perfectly. I read his media interviews this week, and he said that where he's playing now in this Rovers side is his favoured position. If he could pick any position on the football pitch to play, then it would be exactly where he's playing right now. So, with that comes that extra comfort, that extra confidence to get on the ball and do something with it at the end of the day. I think the expectation for Rothwell, I remember back in the first season in the Championship, he was always that player that, showed glimpses of what he could do. He, one day he would look like the best player on the pitch, and then other days you'd forget he'd touched the ball. And I just think it's that inconsistency of coming out of League One and stepping up into the Championship. You've got to forget, he's 25 now. How old was he when he joined us? 22, 23. So still quite young, I suppose. I think the relationship with Rothwell and Mowbray for me is an interesting one. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Nyambe relationship in the sense that I think the potential is there to see. I think we can all see that. And you can see that, you could see that with Nyambe probably 2 years ago, that even though at times, he was naive and he was a young player learning his trade basically on the job due to just the lack of personnel we had at the time, that you always felt that Mowbray was just giving him that extra nudge because he believed that if he was given that extra nudge, that he had the quality to deliver in the end. And I think we're seeing that with Rothwell at the minute. I think, is he our most important midfielder? It will be hard to say that Bradley Dack isn't, if you class Dack as a midfielder. He's probably more classed as a forward in the current formation that we're playing. But if Dack counts as a midfielder, then for me, he'd obviously be the most important. But yeah, really, really impressed with him. And obviously the biggest concern is his contract, I think. I think that's the concern that we all have, isn't it? That a player that we've spent a lot of time and effort coaching and improving and developing, we could lose for a pittance, really, which would be a real, real shame. And I just hope that the club and the player can come to a constructive agreement on that, as I do with several other players in the squad, because you don't want to down the club because of the pandemic, and I understand the financial constraints and just the unprecedented scenario that we're in at the minute. But you look at the number of players out of contract in the summer and you think, God, there's a lot of young quality there that we could be losing for little money. So, yeah, that's got to be sorted soon, I think.
Yeah, that's certainly been picked up in the comments about the contract situation, and that would be a shame to see him go. Just to bring this bit to a close, there's a lot of love for Lewis Holtby in the comments. Tom, if you can bring up some of the Lewis Holtby comments, that'd be good, because there's quite a few. So lots of people saying that Holtby is potentially our best or our most important midfielder. There is some love for Joe Rothwell as well, and what he brings. For me, I think with Bradley Dack injured, I would be saying he's our most important midfielder at the moment, just with that balance that I was talking about. And just to close this off, Rich Sharp gave a stat before the Millwall game about Rothwell and when he started for us, which we've updated today. We've got 18 points from the 8 games that Rothwell has started, and it's 7 from the 8 that he hasn't. So there is an element of importance there for Rothwell. And like you, Alex, I've been really impressed with how he stepped up. I'm going to move us on, and Howard, I'm going to come to you. I've called this section The House That Tony Built. We've spoken about what we saw at full time against Brentford and the relief on the players and the performance and how we dug in. And this got me reflecting on teams that have gone up over the last few years, squads like Huddersfield, like Leeds, dare we say it, like them down the road when they got promoted. They've had a tight-knit squad, and they've had a togetherness, which I think does count for a lot in this division. We've spoken a lot about squad depth and how Rovers have got that this season, and we've spoken a lot about injuries, which everyone is contending with. This togetherness that Tony Mowbray's now built, it earned us a point on Saturday, you could argue. Is that going to be really important for us this season and critical if we are to make playoffs or get promoted?
Certainly, it's not. It wouldn't help the other way around, would it? If there was all the disagreements or whatever within the squad, and you was players that weren't really. But yeah, it helps with all the big personalities in the squad, doesn't it? Like your Lewis Holtby, your Elliot Bennett, who are just brilliant to have around the club, aren't they? They just ooze class in every way. And you can reflect that on the pitch, doesn't it? Everyone just plays for each other. They leave everything on the pitch, and I think you only have to compare it to when he came in, and we just had all these half-assed players that just weren't really. They never really cared too much, did they? And you compare it to now, and it's just night and day, isn't it? And it's only you can only give credit to Mowbray for it, really, can't you? He's brought in the right players, the right personalities, who've just taken us to another level, and hopefully that level this year can go up even further. And I think looking at the past since the international break, with the results that we've been getting, it's certainly brought a lot more confidence around the club, hasn't it? Everyone's kind of got that belief back now, especially with Saturday. I mean, I'd have been happy with a draw at Brentford, even with 11 men, never mind 10. And it was, I even said to a few of my mates at 2-1 that, yeah, just it's over now, just damage limitation. And then you just watch the squad, and they never give up, do they? Like even your Sam Gallagher's are just, they run around, they work on scraps throughout the whole game, but they never stop trying. They always do everything that they can, and it's something that we've not seen a lot at Rovers since probably the last decade, and it just makes you happy to be a Rovers fan for once, doesn't it? To see players that actually care and play for the badge.
And Joe, we touched on this in the post-match stream against Brentford. The thing that we're seeing this season, especially if you consider Saturday's game, for example, you've got John Buckley and Jacob Davenport, who haven't played much this season. You've got one filling in at right back and doing a fairly decent job. You've got the other in Davenport getting stuck in and getting the equaliser. Mowbray does his due diligence on players, doesn't he? And he's got to take all the credit for what he's built in this squad now, hasn't he? And just as a second follow-up, where are you in terms of how important this part of the squad and that team ethic and how that could be really crucial for us this season, particularly with those injuries?
Yeah, I think we've obviously got an under-23s team, which is producing more and more each year in terms of first-team candidates. We have, like a lot of other teams this year, had a significant amount of injuries this year. And in some ways, you do obviously wish that we had a bigger squad. But I think if we did, we'd end up spending a lot of money on players that we wouldn't use. Obviously, there was a few comments earlier up in the stream about, well, is it not just easier to put Hayden Carter in? Because, when you've got those youth players at your disposal and you're trying to grow a club in that way, you can use them. So we've not got a particularly strong squad depth. We have a tight-knit group, and like you say, I think that's important. But we've just got a nice amount of experience. I think Johnson and Ayala, when they both came at both individual times, I said, great, that's some leadership for the dressing room, because when you lose a Craig Conway and you lose Danny Graham and you lose Richie Smallwood, you're losing experience, not just, the ability to put the ball in the net. So yeah, we've got several players at the club now who know what it takes to get promoted. We've got several players at the club like Dolan and like Elliott, who are just, young players who desperately want to play football and are happy to be here. And yeah, I think it's a really good mix. We've not got anybody at the club at the minute where you sit there and say, does he really want to be here? Are they really fighting for the badge? We haven't got anybody playing for the under-23s because they've had a falling out with the manager. And, it's a real togetherness, and it's what Blackburn should be about. So it's good to see.
Yeah, it is, and that's been picked up in the comments as well. Tom Schofield, who is our eye in the sky tonight, let's give him the credit. Thank you, Tom. I think everyone at that point thought let's not get battered. Was great to see togetherness and passion. That's obviously in relation to the Brentford game. Ryan Lambert, players living up to Arte Labor. You love to see it. Chris Hayes, haven't seen a togetherness like this since the Hughes era. Tony has moulded a wonderful group. Finally understand why we didn't sign Marcus Maddison. Yeah, that's the due diligence we were talking about there, Chris. Mowbray does that, and if he doesn't like the player, then he won't sign him. FM works. We have fringe players that actually want to play. We've not had that in years. Leap year man, silver lining with many injuries has meant fringe players getting game time are ready when called. Yep, that's a really fair point, Leap year man. That has allowed that to happen. And Harry Fretwell finally playing for the shirt. Come on, you Blues. Alex, in this little run of 7 games unbeaten, we've had a little bit of adversity to deal with, haven't we? QPR pegged us back and we came back. Millwall pegged us back and we got the stoppage time winner. And the Brentford game, as we've spoken about. We're showing some really good qualities now, aren't we? Where last season, those 3 games might have been 3 draws. We've turned those 3 games into 3 wins. Can you point that towards that togetherness in the group? Or is it the quality of player that we've got on the pitch ultimately?
I think, to be fair to Marlborough, I think there's always been that togetherness ever since the League One season. I don't think it's been something that's grown out of the ground this summer in particular. I think the quality of the squad has certainly improved bit by bit every year that we've been managed by Marlborough. You look at the facts, the relegation season where, it was only the other night I looked at the squad that he inherited and wow, my eyes kind of popped out of my head. I didn't realise the state of the club when he walked in, and you have to look at the squad roster now compared to when he walked through the door, and it's night and day, really, isn't it? I think you look back to the League One season and you think of certain games where you go, wow, how did that go our way? And all those little things kind of add up over the course of the season. So I was looking at the run-in at the end of the League One season, and there was a particular game at home to Southend where we didn't play particularly well. We won the game 1-0. And I remember us hanging on for dear life at the end of that game, like heading balls off the line. And the Bristol game where we conceded late on but bounced back in the 1-0 down at home to Peterborough at half-time, winning 3-1. These are all little bits that add up over a 46-game season. And the one thing I'll give Marlborough credit for above anything else since he came to the club is we've had bad days. We've got beat on occasion. We've not played well on occasion. That's for sure. But I've never walked off a game under Marlborough and thought, those players are not trying. Those players don't care. That's something that has always been the bare minimum for Marlborough. And I think he's achieved that over the piece when you look at all of the seasons he's been in charge. Very rare have I ever walked off a game, and I don't think ever walked off a game and said they weren't trying. And all credit to him for that. So yeah, I think we've always had that togetherness ever since the promotion from League One. But I think the quality's certainly just improved bit by bit over the years.
Yeah, and we'll close this this one off now. So stand and stare, just to finish with 2 comments here. Stand and stare. Mowbray is strong on strength of character, possibly why Chapman is kept back. And Gaz Israel, we got more streetwise this season and found more than one way to winning games we would have lost last season. So hats off to Mowbray and what he's been able to construct. So as usual, just before the team news lands, we are going to go through our suggested/predicted 11s based on the information that we know, and then we'll run that team news live when it lands in about 7 or 8 minutes time. So Howard, you're up first with your suggested team. If you just want to talk us through that and pick out a player and why you've gone for them, just talk us through it.
Yeah, so there's a few that I've picked that I think I've put a bit of logic in it. So Tom Trible's one over Bradley Johnson. I think obviously Tom Tribal won't be able to play on Saturday. So I think it'd be a really good opportunity for Tribal to get a lot of minutes under his belt today, because he's like, even on Saturday he got subbed off, didn't he, with the red card. It was a little bit harsh on him. He didn't play particularly well. So I think it'd be good to, obviously with rotation, the tight fixture schedule that we've spoke about constantly, you need that rotation, don't you? So it might be a good chance for Bradley Johnson to maybe just sit on the bench for today, maybe come on late if we need, and focus ready for that Norwich game where you're playing against some quality midfielders in that game, less than I think we are today. And obviously another one is Stuart Downing. I think the right back situation, you've kind of got your hands tied around your back, haven't you, unless Williams is back. And I think Stuart Downing played 6 games last season from Brentford to Huddersfield, didn't he, at left back? And I didn't think he particularly played badly in any of them, bar Huddersfield, which was his last. And I think out of the options available, I think he'd be worth a go at right back. He's obviously right-footed. He can get forward. If he's anything like he was last season, he can run up and down, no problem. So I think he'd be the best of an awkward bunch to pick from, because I thought John Buckley was a little bit... He just wasn't right, him at right back, was it? He never filled you with confidence, especially with Sergio Canos running at him. I think Stuart Downing may be able to deal with that a little bit better. And also, just touched on the front three, I would have Elliott and Gallagher the other way around. I think Elliott being left-footed would make a little bit more sense. But again, it's kind of just a bit of an awkward one, isn't it? I don't think it matters too much either way.
Yeah, on Stuart Downing, when we were weighing up what would happen if Nyambi got injured, I think certainly Joe and myself made a case for Downing, possibly doing a role like James Milner does for Liverpool, for example, and just bringing his experience that way. And Ryan Lambert has made a really good point actually around Gallagher. So you would play Harvey Elliott on the left for his left foot, Ryan Lambert. Yeah, really fair point, Ryan, that if it is Downing or someone like that on the right, then Gallagher's work rate on the right is critical. And we saw that on Saturday as well, actually, against Brentford. Gallagher was a real pest down that right-hand side for Brentford. So next up, I can't remember who it is. Is it Joe or is it Alex? My phone's gone off. Is it you, Joe?
Myself, mate. It's me.
It's you, Joe. I lost me running order. There we go. Joe, talk us through your side and this formation, which we did see on Saturday, didn't we?
Yeah, so we've played this formation for the last 2 games, basically since Brereton's been gone. We finished Millwall with this formation, and we played this way against Brentford until we went down to 10 men. I fully expect us to start this way again. I've put Williams in because I'm pretty sure that Mowbray is just going to throw him in there. Even if he's not 100%. I don't think he'll go for anything too drastic. I wouldn't put Downing at right back myself. I think because he's left-footed, we've seen in the past with Rankin Costello having to play left back and stuff. I don't really like having a left or a right footer in those full-back positions. I don't think it works very well. So that's what I'd go for. I think Nyambe is best suited to the wing. Ayala in his natural right centre-back position. And then this box formation, we did a thread on it on the Rovers Analytics account, and the BRFCS podcast on Friday that's coming out. We've done a little bit of a talk in there about what it is and how it works. But basically, you'll see Rothwell, Elliott, Gallagher and Armstrong in this formation just rotate around each other in a 4. 2 have got the responsibility to press, and then they can have a little break, and the other 2 go. And yeah, we started Brentford this way, and it suits Rothwell quite well, and it gives Holtby and Johnson the time to kind of get their foot on the ball, and there's runners ahead of them. And yeah, I like this formation, and I'd be shocked if we don't see it again today.
Yeah. Joe, I'm going to be really cheeky, and because you have taken the easy way out with Derek Williams being fit. So who would you play at right back if Williams isn't fit?
If Williams isn't fit, I kind of said that I would keep Nyambe at right back, keep Ayala in his natural position at right centre back, and then put Barry Douglas at left centre back, or a Bradley Johnson or somebody like that who's left footed, and put Amari Bowen at left back. I think Ayala needs and deserves a go in his natural position. Nyambe shouldn't be moved from his natural position. So it's that left centre back role. So I'd stick a left footer in there, Douglas, Johnson, somebody like that.
Thanks, Joe. Very cheeky of me that, but I wasn't giving you the easy way out. Alex, we're on to your side, if we can, please. Just talk us through this. You've also taken the easy way out.
I've been cheeky as well. Yeah,
very disappointed in both of you. This is not what I condone. So talk us through your side.
So I agree with Joe to an extent about that 4-2-2-2 kind of formation that we played at Brentford. I thought it worked quite well early on in the game. Certainly while it was 11v11, I thought we had the better of the game. So it wouldn't surprise me if he went for that. But I do like the 4-3-3. I think it's a formation. A lot of the teams that I enjoy watching other than Rovers play this way. And I think the quality of the football we've produced playing this way has been far better than anything that we've seen before under Mowbray. So that's why I went with this formation. One player I probably would mention is Bradley Johnson. I think a couple of us left him out. The only reason I've kept him in there is because there's the anecdote of him scoring an absolute rocket last season at Bristol in the first 2 minutes. So it'd be pretty nice if he could repeat that. And I always think that Bradley Johnson seems to rise to the occasion of the big games, the big away games. And he always seems to put his foot on the ball, boss a few players around, and really dominate the midfield. He ran the game at Ashton Gate last year. And I don't see any reason why he can't do the same again this year. So that was my rationale, really. I think all the other players have been mentioned.
Yeah. Well, we've got the live team news, which I'll go through in a moment. There's no need to run through my side. But what I will say is my little lad, when I picked him up from school today, did make the case for Bradley Johnson as a centre-back, which I hadn't thought about until I picked him up from school today. So hats off to my little lad for thinking outside the box and suggesting Johnson in that same vein that Joe said. You know, you put in players that want to play on that, you know, on their natural foot and their natural position. Well, we have got the team news. It is running along the bottom. So Derek Williams has made it. Rovers fans, do you think that's a risk playing Williams? Do you think Mowbray is risking him because of Lenihan's injury? Let us know. But the team is Kaminsky, Nyambe, Ayala, Williams, Douglas, Johnson, Holtby, Rothwell, Elliott, Gallagher, Armstrong, with our substitutes as Pears, Carter, Bell, Davenport, Downing, Tribal, Buckley, Chapman, and Dolan. So, Howard, I'm going to come to you first for your initial reaction to that side. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a very strong 11, isn't it, on paper? It's good, actually. I'm quite happy with it. I know. Oh, my God. Bloody Siri again. Don't know what happened last week. Yeah, it's a strong 11. It's probably not too far off what I expected. Like I said, with my team, I probably would have preferred Tribal in this game, but it is what it is, isn't it? I mean, I'm not going to lose sleep with Tom Tribal not playing, but yeah, it's filled me with a lot of confidence. Actually, I think Derek Williams is such a big one, isn't it? But again, you run the risk. Is he 100% fit? I think we've been guilty of maybe sometimes rushing players back. I think we did that with. I know it was forced, but I know Nyambe played a game, didn't he, recently, where he came on as sub and I don't think he was particularly 100% for that game. And it was when Ranky Costello got injured. So maybe if that could be the same with Williams, you can't just have to, don't you, a little bit. Maybe a 90% Williams, maybe better than Hayden Carter. We don't know, do we? That's Mowbray's decision, not ours. But yeah, it's obviously Ayala in his right centre-half position as well. It's for the first time, it's something that we're going to be looking forward to. Maybe if we can see if we get the best out of Ayala, like people have suggested, or whether it's like a repeat of Saturday, or whether it's I don't know, maybe he might struggle against a more mobile striker like Naki Wells, who's, I don't know if he's playing Naki Wells. I'm only assuming it'll be him and Chris Martin, I assume. But yeah, it's probably the best of what we could have picked, isn't it? Really, I think anyone else, it probably would have just been makeshift, wouldn't it?
They're both starting, mate. Wells and Martin.
Yeah, I thought they would be. God, it's not a bad strike force, that is actually.
So, Joe, we've covered a few things on this on these streams over the season. So we've covered the fact, as we've spoken about tonight, about Ayala in his natural centre-back position and with someone who's left-footed in Williams. We've spoken about Johnson and Tribal being quite similar and occupying the same space.
Yeah.
We've spoken about Joe Rothwell and how important he is as a midfielder and balancing that midfield out. And we've also spoken about the front three. We've got no Brereton, but Gallagher has more than played his part in recent weeks. Despite everything we've spoken about tonight, on paper, that side looks pretty balanced tonight, doesn't it? And pretty strong.
Yeah, I think I would be shocked if it's 4-3-3. I think it will be the box. I think that they want Gallagher as central as they can get him. It obviously nullifies Armstrong a little bit, but it gives that creative freedom to Rothwell and Elliott. And like you say, Rothwell and Elliott and Hope being the same side, we should see some really nice football today. Because when those three are on form and when they're playing well together, the football looks good. So, yeah, really excited based on that lineup, yeah.
Yeah, and Alex, just to get your views around that side and your reactions, are you feeling optimistic? This could have been a very different side with a right back who's not a right back. Are you feeling optimistic about what we've been able to put out?
I can hardly come on here and be a hypocrite and say that Marbury's picked my exact 11, so I'm upset with it. That would be a pretty bad turn for the stream, I think. And would show I have an agenda, which I don't. So, yeah, I'm happy, obviously, with the 11 that he's picked. I think I like Marbury's policy in terms of what it seems from looking at that 11 of moving the least number of defensive players around as possible, keeping as many players in their correct positions as he possibly can. And I think that's, if there's any criticism I have of Marbury over the last 4 years, it's been on occasion where I feel like he may have played one too many player out of his natural position and the team maybe looked a bit disjointed for that. But I think tonight certainly it looks like he's gone with that policy of, we risk Williams tonight, and if he exacerbates anything tonight, then we've got Lenihan back for Saturday. So I understand the logic behind the team, and I'm obviously pleased with it because it's my team. So,
well, we'll give you the credit.
It's not my team in financial or actual job terms, but it's my team that I picked. So there you go.
And for Rovers fans wondering about the Bristol City side, it's Bentley in goal, Hunt, Viner, Callas, Rowe, Bakinson, Nagy, O'Dowda, Semenyo, Wells and Martin. And when we spoke on the other side with Paul, the Bristol City fan, yesterday, he suggested that they would be playing wing-backs, attacking wing-backs with Wells and Martin up front, who at championship level are a very experienced and fairly potent strike force. So we're going to have to be on it tonight, that's for certain. Howard, Rovers have been quite potent ourselves on the road in particular this season. And with the side that you've seen tonight, again, can you see Rovers having plenty of the ball and going for Bristol City with this side tonight? Quite
possibly. I'm not overly sure of how Bristol City play the football. I'm not going to lie. I've not watched them this season. But I'd assume, did they play a 5 at the back with 2 up front? Is that what is being said? Yeah. So, I mean, based off that, I think we could maybe see us maybe controlling a little bit more of the ball than them. I don't know the difference in that, whether it'll be too high or not. But obviously, they're obviously not a bad team of Bristol City. They have some very good players at this level, like Wells and Martin. I mean, Martin had a really underappreciated season at Derby last year, didn't he? Where he's very good with assists, isn't he? So I think maybe the combination of them two could really thrive in this division. So I think we need to be wary of them because obviously got a lot of quality around the pitch. I think Thomas Callas is a top defender at this level as well. He'll be hoping to keep Armstrong quiet for them, but I think we could control a lot more of the ball. I'm only basing that off the formation that they play. I know absolutely nothing about Bristol City other than the fact that I feel that we usually beat them away from home, and I'm hoping that we do again. And I think of the 5-3, I can think of the 2-0. The only one I can remember us losing was the 4-1, which was 2 seasons ago. But yeah, I think it'll be an interesting game. I'm a little bit unsure as to how it will play out personally.
Yeah. And Leap Year Man has made a comment here. We struggled with wing backs against Millwall. Joe, in terms of how the game's going to go, I think that Bristol City have got the option to change it up if they want to. If they don't want Wells up front with Martin, for example, they could go for something a bit more defensive as a 4-5-1 or potentially something like a 4-3-3, defensive 4-3-3 or attacking 4-3-3. So I think they've got options themselves if they do want to change that up. Do you think this is a game that Bristol City might again allow us to have the ball and say, come and break us down? Or, like Paul, the Bristol City fan, suggested yesterday, do you think they're going to go on the front foot and maybe go for Rovers? And that's a game we might have some joy in if it's like that.
Oh, it's hard to say, isn't it? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think they'll have known what we were going to do today with the Lenihan and with the injuries. And I really don't know. It's going to be really tough to see. I'm just excited about the game, to be honest, because from the first couple of minutes, we'll be able to see what's going to happen. But yeah, I don't know, unfortunately.
No, that's fine. I must say I'm also excited, Joe. I really like the look of this side. I think it's got some good balance and like I said, with Ayala in his position and Rothwell and Holtby in a midfield and things like that, I think it looks really good on paper. And again, we've got some options on the bench in the likes of Dolan who can come on and offer us something. Alex, I'm not going to let you get away with this scot-free. I did suggest that we would come back to this. So I need to find the question. Oh, you might have got away with it because I can't find who asked the question.
I got called out in the first 30 seconds of the stream, so it must be right at the start of the comment section, I think.
Yeah, and I think it might have bumped off unless Tom can do me a favour and find the comment. But it was something along the lines of, you weren't on the stream on Saturday, and it was about Mowbray's tactical approach to the game. So, defend yourself.
I thought, I did touch on this slightly earlier on. I thought Mowbray got it spot on Saturday. By any measure, you look at the game in the 11v11 scenario for the first 35 minutes, I thought we were the better side. I thought, we had 2 shots on goal within the first minute of the game, so we really set our stall out in the right way. We didn't go to Brentford to sit back and be timid and wait to get beat. We went there with the attitude of trying to win the game. And I thought we dominated the game early on. Obviously, the red card and the penalty flips the game on its head completely. And then, obviously, from then on, we're on the back foot. But I thought the second half we dealt with it really well. I mean, what do you expect? We possibly picked, in true Rovers style, the worst team to go down to 10 men against, other than ourselves, but we can't play ourselves. So there's that one to think about. But yeah, we stayed in the game. We stayed within 1 goal. And then we had that one chance. We waited for our one chance and we took it. It fell to a player I didn't expect it to fall to, and I didn't expect that player to put it away, but God, he did. So there was no one happier than me at full time. And I don't want to sound soppy on a live stream, but go on then. I was actually a bit emotional after that game on Saturday because I could just appreciate the amount of effort and just blood, sweat and tears that went into that performance and into that point. It just felt like a really big moment in our season to me. So, yeah, I was a bit emotional after that game, I can't lie, but there you go.
Good. Well, Scott Taylor it was who asked the question earlier, who said exactly that, Ryan. So Scott and everyone else who is watching in, you can hold any of us to account with anything that we say. On my gravestone, for example, will be Adam Armstrong's transfer market value. So I've got to live with that one. Alex has got to live with slagging Mowbray off a little bit. So we will always hold ourselves to account. So if we ever say or do anything that you disagree with, please hold us to account in the comments, and you have my word. Even if it's something I've said, we will pick that up and we will address that. So we're going to end this stream in about 2 or 3 minutes time so that you can all go and settle down ready for the game on Sky Sports. But before we do that, Rovers fans, please do hit us with your score predictions within the comments box, and Tom will filter those through as you're putting them in. But I will go round our panel and just check to see what everyone thinks on the score. Oh, that's a good start. Matt Longstaff will lose 3-1. Not that one, Tom. Howard, score prediction, please.
I've gone for a 3-2 win today. I'm feeling quite confident going into it. And I've got Wells and Martin scoring for them because they were the only two I could think of at the time. And Armstrong Gallagher off well for us. Feeling quite confident.
3-2 Rovers from Howard. There's a lot of 3 for Rovers in the comments coming through. So, Joe, are you sharing a 3 for Rovers? What's your score prediction?
No, I said I don't know a lot tonight, and I really don't. I've got no thoughts in my head. I've obviously gone for a prediction in our predictions league, but that's me trying to be get points and stuff like that. I'll go 1-1 tonight. Total stab in the dark.
So it's a 1-1 from Joe. Thank you, Tom, for filtering all these scores through. There is a lot of 3-1 Rovers, 2-1 Rovers, that type of thing, and a few 1-1s in there as well. Alex, Tom Schofield did call you out for your positivity after your Tony Mowbray defence just there. So is that positivity going to extend into a score prediction?
I said he should wait for my score predict. I was just about to say you spoiled my thunder there. I was going to say he's not heard my score prediction yet. So rein it in a bit, lad. I can't come on here and predict us to get beat. I really can't after Saturday. Although you look at the games and you think, God, it's not often we go 8-9 games unbeaten, so we're kind of due a defeat somewhere along the line, aren't we? Just through bad luck or, a red card or just some extenuating circumstance. So, oh God, I really don't want us to get beat tonight. We're due a defeat, unfortunately, but I'll go with a 1-1 draw like Joe. I agree with him. Score draw.
Okay, you're going score draws, you two. I am going 2-1 Rovers. After speaking to Paul yesterday on the other side about the Bristol City game, I think it's a game that might suit Rovers in terms of how much of the ball Bristol City might have and the fact that they shouldn't sit back too much and they might attack with their wing backs. I think our side looks really balanced on paper. Really like the look of it. So I'm going 2-1 Rovers. Need to decide who my scorers are. It's always worth just saying Adam Armstrong in it in case we get a penalty. But 2-1 Rovers from myself. Yeah, there we go. Stand and stare. Alex, shut up. That is a good comment to finish the stream.
Didn't even
on,
predict us to get beat.
That's brilliant. So we are bang on 7 o'clock and Sky Sports are about to start their coverage. So you don't want to hear us talk anymore. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight and interacting with us as usual. We will be live about 10 p.m. this evening for our post-match stream as usual. We will be live. Come and share your comments. Come and share your views after the game. Hopefully we are right on the victories, you and I, Howard. Hopefully it's another win for Rovers, but we will dissect it as we usually do post-match at around 10 p.m. And there'll be a panel of 4 of us. I think we're substituting Alex for Glenn from the Rovers Chat website. So we're making a half-time change. It'll be Joe, Howard, Glenn, and myself. There we go. So Rovers plans after the game. Please do join us. Let us know your thoughts and views as usual after the game. If you are not following us on Twitter, we are Rovers_chat on Twitter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is Rovers Chat, day 9 of the 12 days of Rovers Chat. So you will get the second installment of day 9 at about 10 p.m, as I say. And before we go, please do check out our sponsors, 6yardsout.com, which we will finish the advert with in a moment. But yes, everyone enjoy the game and we will see you all soon. Thank you.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.